Hey everybody, it's Goblin and welcome back to another Premier Draft of Duskmourn, House of Horror. Without further ado, let's get into the pack one pick one. We've got a really sweet monocolored rare, and that's going to make the pick super easy. We get to stay pretty open with this. Putting this into any green deck is going to be great. It's a 5 mana 5/5 trample haste, can't be countered, and with 4 more card types in your grave, you can recast it once for only 4 mana from your grave. So Worm is an exceptional card, and I am super happy to start with that. For pick number 2, certainly a much weaker pack. We've got a Trapped in the Screen here for a pretty great removal spell out of white. The Vile Mutilator plays pretty decently at the top end in any black deck, so we could go like green-black Delirium with that at the top of the curve. Especially with a lot of self-mill out of green, there's a few black reanimation spells that are great to use on this, since you won't have to sack something to cast that later. Fear of Being Hunted is really solid in red. There's some very good combos with it as well, like the card that gives something +1/+0 first strike makes this really ridiculous. But Rootwise Survivor is also perfectly playable, perfectly reasonable to just stick mono green for now with the Worm. The one thing I don't like about that is starting with 2 5-drops is a little awkward. I think I'm going to go for Fear of Being Hunted. With the Balustrade Worm being a trample haster, it's going to play at its best in a pretty aggressive deck, and the most aggressive green deck that I enjoy is Green-Red Delirium, where the Fear of Being Hunted plays really well. It's got haste, so it jams in for a lot of damage early, and it's also 2 card types for Delirium being an enchantment creature, so I like this kind of start here towards Green-Red. Pick 3, not the most exciting pack ever. There's really just a Vile Mutilator, or a Dual Land, or an Inferno. None of these off-color cards are worth speculating on pretty much at all. Again, Vile Mutilator is solid at the top of the curve, but it is a lot of mana. I think I'm just going to take a Bleeding Woods here, because 5 mana removal is kind of a lot. I do think the Inferno is pretty good because it draws you a card when you cast it, but you can't really run more than like 2 copies, so I don't take it extremely highly. For pick 4, Conductive Machete is a pretty nice pick because it's going to fit well into any deck. Being a 4 mana 4/3 that leaves behind an equipment to move around later. Of course, if you manifest something bigger than a 2/2, then it could be even better than that. But it plays really well in pretty much anything, so it'll go fine into our green-red deck, and if we push anywhere else, it'll still be playable. It is competing with Trapped in the Screen. That is the #1 competition here. It has just an excellent removal spell. Unable to Scream's pretty close to Trapped in the Screen as well, but this is by far the most flexible card as the colorless spell in the pack. And pick 5 Wicker Folk looks like green-red is nice and open. This should be a pretty simple draft where the colors we started in look like the ones that we would have started heading towards based on what's open anyway. I mean, white looks decently open, seeing both of those Trapped in the Screens, but getting the Signpost rule uncommon is great. And now pick 6, we get a 2 mana 2/2 artifact creature. I like this a lot in Green-Red Delirium just for trading it off, getting those 2 card types in grave early. It has some fun little combos as well. Getting some unblockable attacks and specific creatures. But yeah, Playmate plays well. In the archetype, pick 7, Branch Snapper can be fine with enough manifesting going on, like our 1 Machete. Grab the Prize is good at hitting Delirium, though, so there is that. You put a sorcery in your grave, maybe a sorcery in a land, or, just discard wherever you want. I might take Grab the Prize over the Land Cycler. I've been really unimpressed with the Land Cyclers overall, because you just end up with so many good things to do at 2 and 3 mana that if you ever have to take off a turn to cycle this thing, it feels pretty miserable. So I almost treat these as if the land cycling ability doesn't exist, unless you're specifically like a reanimation deck. It's basically just a 6 mana 7/6 trample. You're in a bad spot if you're spending time land cycling. Pick 8, Hand That Feeds is great if you can consistently hit Delirium, because then it's a 2 mana 4/2 menace, which is insane. But Glimmerlight is another card that is fine in any aggro deck. I like taking it early for being flexible, but here, with the way this draft is going, I'm so happy to just be Gruul. I don't really think I need to be flexible. That said, honestly, it might still just be on par with Hand That Feeds anyway, and it gives us another random artifact to mill. I'm going to take the Glimmerlight. Again, flexibility, not that big of a deal right now, but also, until you get Delirium, Hand That Feeds is very bad at 2 mana 2/2 with no text, and it also doesn't help hit Delirium since it is only a creature. It's not an enchantment creature. It's not an artifact creature. Pick 9. Diversion Specialist is solid here as a menacing threat that can also help get like a random room into the graveyard for value. Getting an enchantment in there for Delirium. Say its name is good in slower Delirium decks. I really like it in the Sultai or the Abzan color pairs, green, blue, black, green, white, black, any combination of those. But green, red, I'm a little lower on it. You want like creatures that are milling yourself towards Delirium because you can get so aggressive here, as you can see from our curve right now. We're doing pretty good on that front. And we get that Impossible Inferno here, pick 11. Again, expensive removal, but you're going to need a couple of removal spells, then it plays well in Delirium decks, giving you the card draw. Pick 12. Yeah, nice little mediocre Winter's Intervention removal spell. Here's another Grab the Prize. And a Vicious Clown. Let's see what we open up in pack 2. Whoo! Rollercrusher Ride is a lot of mana, but it is incredible impact on the game even without Delirium. So like 6 mana, 3 damage to 3 creatures. It's already going to win you quite a few games of Magic, and that's if you don't have Delirium. If you have Delirium, this is, what, 5 mana to do 4 damage to 2 targets, 6 mana to do 6 damage to 3 targets? Yeah, this thing's insane. That is such an easy pick. Still never gotten to play with this card before, so hopefully we get to absolutely crush with it here, because I think it is ridiculously good. Speaking of ridiculously good, so is Ghost Vacuum, but it's great in slower decks where you know you can always make it to that 6 mana. And decks where you're pretty cool with exiling your own stuff in grave. I don't like exiling my own creatures because we're trying to hit Delirium so much, and we're playing so much to the board. 6 mana is kind of a lot. It's competing with a Thresher and a Centipede, 2 cards that are really good in Gruul. Yeah, I've played a lot of Ghost Vacuums. I think the card is great. If you want to see it in action, check out my Luigi's Mansion artwork thumbnail, or the draft I did with Nikolai Bolas over on his channel. We got a Ghost Vacuum pack 1 pick 1 there as well, but here I think I'm sticking to Gruul, and I'm going to take the Thresher here. I really like the card types for milling it towards Delirium, as well as just being like a must-kill 4-drop threat once again. Pick 3, another Fear of Being Hunted, gets that enchantment and creature in the grave real easily. Great card. I like the Bleeding Woods as the second best card here, and the Hand That Feeds is the third best. Those are all great options if we can wheel them. Pick 4 doesn't really have anything. Slower Delirium decks can definitely use found footage to fill up the grave. I suppose when the other options are the Survivor, the Attack in the Box, and the Vicious Clown, I'm just going to take the found footage because we already have 3 better 3-drops than Attack in the Box and Clown, and 3 better 4-drops than Survivor. So we'll take that. Pick 5, Root-wise Survivor's fine. I generally really don't like survival cards, but this is one of the hardest ones for your opponent to actually play around because it gets out at hastes and it almost guarantees the first survival trigger to be just 5 mana for a 3/4 and a 3/3, which is a pretty good deal. Pick 6. Not super high on Trial of Agony, but it's fine if you're a really aggressive deck because it does shut off 2 blockers, one of them permanently, but you are going to kill your opponent's second best creature. I really don't think we want to play Ripper in this deck. We certainly don't want to play Ticket Booth. We're not Rakdos, or is it? Could play Beastie here over Ripper. I could play a Trial, or I could grab a Keys to the House to fill Delirium and have a little bit of random fixing. I'll take the Keys to the House, I suppose. Pick 7, another 2 mana 2/2 artifact creature to fill Delirium nice and quick. Pick 8, most valuable Slayer is the Wombo combo with Fear of Being Hunted, and we have 2 copies of that, so 5 power first striking attacker that must be blocked can absolutely devour our opponent's board states. Pick 9, Guess we just hate draft the... Well, not hate draft, we just cut the green there. Yeah, it's probably all going to be pretty meaningless filler commons for the rest of the pack. Yeah, a bunch of stuff just going straight to the sideboard. Long neck's certainly not unplayable here. A fourth 3-drop is not that bad, and our enchantment count isn't super high for Delirium. Pack 3, pick one. A little sad here we don't get both of these cards, but I do think we just take Twitching Doll. This is a mana dork that's going to let you dump out your hand quicker, and whenever you don't need the mana anymore, it spits out a bunch of spiders. So your opponent is going to have to throw removal on this before it spits out those spider tokens. It's also 2 creature types for Delirium, which is great, or 2 card types for Delirium being an artifact creature. So very, very high on Twitching Doll, but I also really like Fear of Burning Alive. Excellent card to top off your curve in any Delirium decks. Green, red, and Rakdos being my favorite places for this thing, but it's great in most red decks. But we'll grab the Twitching Doll here. The rare is just a bit stronger. Pack 3, pick 2. I do think Percussionist is pretty great in any decks that are trying to hit Delirium, because this is the perfect kind of creature that's definitely going to end up in the graveyard and give you 2 card types in grave. It's got a good death trigger for you as well. But I think Beastie Beatdown is so strong that we're going to take it, even though there's a chance it wheels, because there's a chance we're the only Gruul drafter. I don't think we can risk it. We're pretty low on removal right now, and this is an excellent removal spell. If you get Delirium for this thing, it is wild. 2 +1/+1 counters onto your board and blow up one of your opponent's creatures for only 2 mana. Pack 3, pick 3. Here's a coordinated clobbering that looks pretty reasonable. We've got 6 2-drops here. I don't think I need the Playmate. Yeah, we get to take another removal spell. Grab coordinated clobbering. Machete's also reasonable, but we've got 4 4-drops, so we don't need more of those either. Our creature curve is just great already. Man, Fear of Burning Alive has to keep showing up in the same pack as the good rares. I think I have to take Enduring Courage, but Fear of Burning Alive is great too. Just Enduring Courage makes any creature you draw so much better for the rest of the game. You top deck your 2 mana 2/2 and it's a 4/2 haste on its first attack. Courage is excellent. It has just Fear of Burning Alive, but just take the rare again. Pick 5. Hey! Still was looking for a little more removal. I like the Glassworks here. Monstrous Emergence is potentially cheaper, but it's also a little more finicky. It's never really going to do more than 4 damage in our deck. We have 2 5-power creatures. 9 times out of 10, this does 4 or less damage, and Glassworks always does 4. So it's just more consistent. It is also a little more expensive, but I'm going to take Glassworks here. Pick 6. God, this pack's been beautiful for us. The Painter Studio Defaced Gallery is perfectly solid on any aggressive deck. It's a draw 2. That also buffs your whole board for more damage later. Another Most Valuable Slayer. Double those up to go with the Fear of Being Hunted. Perfectly fine. Pick 8. Turn Inside Out's a fine combat trick. Pick 9. Another Turn Inside Out. Gonna have to end up cutting a lot of cards here. Pick 10. We got the Percussionist all the way back. That's pretty spicy. I'm probably cutting all to grab the prizes. Might cut the Inferno as well. Wow, triple Inside Out in this last pack. Get real quick here. Alright, let's build this deck. Alright, we need to cut 6 cards. Got a lot of non-creature stuff going on. In just a 2-color deck, the Keys to the House is going to take us some time to crack. It's like running Evolving Wilds in just a 2-color deck. It is good for the Delirium, which does matter on Balustrade Worm a lot. And Beat Down, Inferno. Rollercrusher Ride as well. Yeah, we have some pretty good Delirium cards. But we've also got 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 artifact creatures naturally, even if we're not playing any of like the Delirium support artifacts. Maybe drop some of these. Maybe the found footage too. Yeah, some combination of these could be cut here. Turn Inside Out are really good at fueling Delirium. They're really cheap manifests as well. Like those a lot. How's the removal looking? Beatdown, Glassworks, Clobbering, Inferno, and Rollercrusher. Plus the Fear of Being Hunted Slayer combo is like a little removal-y. Where's the worst removal spell if we want to cut one then? We've got 1 survival card in the deck. I feel like it's probably Clobbering. That's the most situational of our removal spells. But Inferno's the most expensive, so it's kind of between these two. I'd rather cut Clobbering there. So that's a potential cut. I've got a lot of 4-drops. I'm feeling like Specialist is the first cut there. With 2 copies of Fear of Being Hunted, it's pretty hard to justify cutting the most valuable Slayers. And then obviously the Thresher and the Courage are just better cards than Specialist generally. I've got a couple decent synergies for this with like Glassworks and Painter Studio sitting around waiting to get sacked, but it feels like the worst of the 4-drops. Vicious Clown has really bad synergy for this deck. It's just a 3-mana 2/3. Yeah, these all look like fine potential cuts. If I drop these, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 creatures still. Do want like 15 to 17, so we could put a Machete back in, but there's a lot of 4-drops. Kind of want to drop Machete, put another 2-drop back in instead at Glimmerlight, and then that's 15 creatures. Sure. Yeah, for curve purposes, we can drop Machete here. Drop the Clobbering. I still kind of like the found footage. It's just so much Delirium fuel. Surveil 2 and draw a card. We got the keys and then one more thing. I do feel like for curve purposes, I think 1 Fear of Burning Alive would have played better than the Courage here. Don't love how that's ended up. Like if the deck looked like this with 1 copy of Fear of Burning Alive, I'd be really happy with it. So I could drop the Painter Studio thing. I don't really need a dedicated card draw spell. Curving out so much. Yeah, drop the Painter Studio Gallery seems fine. How are the colors looking? 16 red cards, only 7 green. But green gives us Twitching Doll, and we need double green for the Worm Survivor. I keep a 9/9 split here despite being much heavier into red. Well, no, we also have double red Fear of Being Hunted. Yeah, I should go probably 8/10 split at least. All right, now we'll call it a deck here. Hop into the gameplay and see how it does. Good lord, this is an opening hand. Snap Keep. Snap Keep, we Twitching Doll to ramp into Fear of Being Hunted, Worm, and then Rollercrusher Ride. Lord have mercy on our opponent. If they win this game, they are doing some insanely busted stuff to compete with this hand. Needlehead is a decent start. Ooh, I get to play Courage first now. Off the ramp. So every creature I play gets +2/+0 haste on end of turn. wouldn't hate blocking here. I wouldn't hate trading courage into like a +3/+0 trick or something. Still be 1-for-1, and we'd still have the ability of the enduring courage from that on. Oh my god, we're hitting the lands. If we hit mana 6, even without delirium, it's going to be 3 damage to 3 targets. We just kill the Needlehead and the Playmate and something else, maybe. This doesn't shoot face, though, does it? No, it doesn't shoot the face, at least. It's been really gross so far, though. We've played 3 spells and they're all rares. Play boosters. Alright, bargain away the courage so they can exile it, but they did get 2-for-1 anyway. They had to sack a creature and discard the bargain. Oh. They're at 10 here. Can exact lethal if they don't have anything up here. They've got something. 2 mana. Could be a Scorching Dragonfire. If it's a Scorching Dragonfire, they Dragonfire the Fear when I declare the attack and then trade into the Dull. Take 5. A little bit of a bummer. Oh wait, and I don't have lethal. I would need a 3rd red source to be able to lethal. They'd go block there, and then I hit for 10, but I can't cast the Inside Out if I attack with the Doll anyway. Yeah, I guess since I don't have lethal regardless, I might as well play around the Scorching Dragonfire on Twitching Doll line. Just keep stats on this board? I probably do. Ooh. Indestructible trick. Another trampler. Oh my god, we just hit full delirium off of that alone. Enchantment, creature, instant land. It's not looking super fair right now. Show me how you survive this. I probably should have just cracked Twitching Doll during main phase 1. Does that survive? That does. Since I didn't attack with Twitching Doll. Barely survives. Tunnel of Hate. Send a message. Just tap out for the Tunnel of Hate. Fair enough. That was a disgusting game, and we cast almost exclusively rares. I think we cast like 4 there with a 5th in our hand. Maybe 3 with a 4th in our hand, something like that, but just insanely powerful cards. There was not a lot our opponent could do. Alright, here we are for game 2, another great hand. We're on the draw here. Playmate into Fear of Being Hunted, so already like 3 card types in grave for Delirium. Of course, the Worm at the top of the curve. 2 different Trample Hasters if we get to replay it from grave. Playing against Esper. Well, that's a solid draw. Start with Twitching Doll. Maybe do a little ramp and get some spiders later. Worst case scenario, we get to pull a removal spell out. Alright, cycle a Spectral Snatcher. Since they are in white and black, they could have multiple different ways to reanimate that, put it straight from the graveyard back to the board. Unable to scream, sure. No 2-mana 2/2, please. Do not play a creature. Awesome, thank you. Get to jam for 4 to the face. Could send a message with the doll, but it's always technically better to hold the 0-2 back than to ping your opponent for 0. Meat Walker the Fear, sure. Certainly flooding a little bit. This could absolutely be a problem. Cycle a Branch Snapper. Oh, this is like 5 color over there. Every color but red is what we've seen so far. If I drew you a turn sooner, you'd have been awesome. Curve out there, but it is what it is. Still going to be another play for the future. Alright, they're down to 9 and nobody is stunned now. Unidentified hovership. It's a pretty good one. Exile our best creature, the worm. Stops it from coming back from grave or doing anything. They are still just dead without another removal spell. Okay. Weird game, but okay. Just land cyclers and no actual creatures cast there. Means we just curve out with creatures and slam them for lethal before anything super bad happens. We are 2-0 heading into game 3. Alright, we are on the play now for game 3. Turn 3 Fear of Being Hunted is our first play. Would love to have a 2-drop, but the hand still looks good on the play. Brood Spinner. Alright, we'll trade into that thing. Prevent them from getting a bunch of insects later. Well, will we? I have the Wombo combo. I have 2 most valuable Slayers in hand here. So I can just slam down the Fear of Being Hunted and pass. And then resolve Slayer and go crazy. Dang. Not against Winter's Intervention. I feel like that's the kind of removal spell that always lines up kind of poorly for me, but does work great here. Yeah, it lines up bad against cards like Brood Spinner. The classic 4-mana 3/3 has arrived. And we are flooding out a little bit again. Worked out super fine for us last game, but this time our opponent does have creatures on board, so it is not going to be as easy of a game here. So any more land draws could be absolutely disastrous from here. A lot of Death Touch in their deck. I'm pretty happy to have First Strike. Not super happy to have another one of those. Our blocks are really bad, so I might as well be sending these in, because they're going to be attacking with 3 Death Touchers. And I guess they're winning the race here a little bit, because I just can't hit creatures, sadly. But again, our blocks are so bad, I don't think it's better to trade down here on the defensive. It's a massive problem. One, two, three, four, 6, 7, 8, 9. They could just die here if they don't block. If they do block, they don't crack back for lethal because I kill the Branch Snapper. Actually, even if they do block, they're dead, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh my god. Take back everything bad I said about Turn Inside Out. This thing is ridiculous. Just oops, I win. And I was like, yeah, these are pretty awkward here against all this Death Touch. They're just not good. We need more creatures, but Hey, they can randomly deal 6 more damage than your opponent was expecting, and you can just cheese out a victory. All right, 3-0 it is. We remain undefeated heading into game 4. All right, here we are on the play for game 4. Like the hand, it's a great 2-3-4 curve. We got the valuable Slayer Fear of Being Hunted combo again. Maybe we'll get to keep the Fear alive by the time we get the Slayer down. If so, that should be ridiculous. I don't know why my phone is listening to me. Stop it. Stop, Google. Alright, Possessed Goat from our opponent. I always expect black-white when I see this thing. Because it's a fine, just discard enabler. Shove your biggest creature in the graveyard to reanimate it later. And that is what they are. They've got the beautiful Kamigawa Neon Dynasty lands there. I need a good combat trick in hand, or Fear of Being Hunted is already kind of gross. They got something for 2, so it looks like they probably have that 2-mana deal too. Oh, no, they've got a Land Cycler. Alright, well, that's going to suck for our opponent then. Just get a free kill on their 1-1. Feels really good. Ridiculously good work from Fear of Being Hunted, especially if they follow up with a creature turn 3. If they play like a 2-2 to trade into it. Nope, they've got the exile removal. Fair enough. It's already gotten us some pretty great value. And now the Slayer's just going to make it so the Playmate is able to attack into Fear of Lost Teeth without dying because we have First Strike. So just take 1 damage instead of 2. Right of the Moth, reanimate the 6-5. Solid for our opponents, but this turn Inside Out is going to make that not matter. Attack with 2 First Strikers and buff whichever one gets blocked. And that's a way to spend just 1 card to kill the Snatcher. Because otherwise, because of the ward ability, we would have to spend 2 cards. We have to target it with removal and discard something. Another turn Inside Out. This could very well randomly find us lethal again. I'm not going to Rollercrusher 1-1 here. Miasma Demon. Goodbye, Playmate. Hello, new 2-2. Right? Well, I do need the turn Inside Out to kill the demon unless I hit Delirium. I'm going to have an instant, an artifact, and a creature in grave. I should be able to hit Delirium off turn Inside Out and then Roller Crush the demon. For lethal. Yep. Delirium, Roller Crush the demon, they're dead. Or Fear of Being Hunted the demon and they're dead. Wow. There's the concession from our opponent. That's lethal on board, and we are 4-0. That is 4 wins without casting Rollercrusher Ride. So we had it twice, but didn't have to cast it. Just already so far ahead. Excellent work from the deck. We'll see if it can't keep it up as we head into game number 5. All right, game number 5. Start with a 4-land hand here. Lightly risky with the amount of lands in it. But got some excellent 4-drops here. And all the lands to know we're going to make it to 4 mana. Hello, Acrobatic Cheerleader. The green-white here. I feel like we just hold off on blocks. Because things can go so wrong when they start getting survival triggers, getting their creatures in tapped every turn. Uh-oh. Hardened Escort is the survival enabler. Attack with this, and any other creature you attack with gets the indestructible. Here's the Thresher. We have an artifact and a creature. We can get an instant in there. Yeah, I mean, we play the Thresher first, but I don't think it's actually going to get its Delirium trigger on the attack yet. There's their own Thresher. Hello, Rollercrusher. Got a decent path to Delirium here. Send in the squad, see where it's at. If they don't make any blocks here, we'll just play the Slayer. But if they do, we're going to turn something inside out. Alright. Slayer it is. Come on in, welcome to my face. Down to 14. Wary Watchdog. And an Acrobatic Cheerleader, alright. Kill both of those with a Rollercrusher ride, or just hold up the turn inside out again. Work towards Delirium here. 14 to 14. I think I'm just getting wildly aggressive. They have 13 on the crackback in theory, but I can Inferno away the Thresher while they're tapped out. Unless they have the 1 white mana +1/+1 hexproof trick. Unless they have that exact uncommon, I should be able to kill Thresher to not die here. If they have the common combat tricks, none of them are good enough to save Thresher from Inferno for just a single mana. It is a little tragic. We're exactly 1 damage off from lethaling them with turn inside out. Sorry, 2 damage off. This actually looks super fine. But again, if I turn inside out, I kind of lock in Delirium for Rollercrusher ride. Yeah, I don't see how I can possibly lose this game if we have a Delirium Rollercrusher ride next turn, so I'm just going to lock that in. Just mill a land here. Beautiful. So it's already 4 damage to 2 targets. We've also got Delirium Inferno. If we top deck a land, it's 6 damage to 3 targets. Alright, blow up the Slayer. Go to 9. Cool. Did hit the land, so I can blow up 3 things. But they only have 2. So I could like kill both of those, or I could just kill 1, draw a card. Really don't hate just killing the Thresher and drawing a card. Draw the Enduring Courage? Well, it's gonna be for next turn then. Big moves. Send in here. It's aggressive. Root-wise survivors to play. Bad enough I have to kill it instead of getting my 3/3. Yeah, because I mean, Escort definitely gets it an attack in. I don't know why they didn't pre-combat that. I'm surprised they didn't just pre-combat and get the survival guarantee there. That'd been really bad for me. Weird. I mean, I guess if they did that, my Rollercrusher ride would have been incredible. Still have to do it at this point. Just make it massive. If it's up to X, so. Just do 8 damage to 2 things. Oh, they do have the hexproof trick. That's egregious. Hit me for 4 and get a 3/3 blocker. Yeah, that is terrible for me. Land. That's funny, but it's not even that helpful. Because they just block with their own land. And the 2/2, and I can only kill the land, and they crack back and make it even bigger. I have to just play it and pass. Then I can, in theory, double block the 4/5 and go to 2, but the problem is if they manifested into a creature, we lose. And Arena's stopping for them, so it looks like they did win the lottery wheel on that one, and this is a creature. I bet it's a 7/6 trample, too. I bet they're actually in Magical Christmas Land. Well, I'm about to die to this face down. Yep. Good flip is good. Alright. That's magic, baby. I don't think there was really a line to victory there. The Shard Mage's Rescue was just perfect against the Rollercrusher ride at any point. It's so cheap, they always had the mana up for it. 4-1 it is, heading into Game 6. Here we are for Game 6. We're on the draw and we don't start till turn 4, so there's some pretty big risks to this hand, but we have a lot of 2 and 3 mana creatures we can draw into to make the hand excellent. I don't think I'm mulliganing a hand with decent mana already. Alright, we did hit a 3-drop, and it combos with the Slayer, which is nice. Unfortunately, our first draw was really bad. The 4th mountain's completely redundant. We need the 2nd forest. By the time we have 5 mana, and now we're not going to hit the 2nd forest till we have 6 lands in hand. It's going to be super gross. Another green-white survival deck, so pretty excellent for them to be on the play here. Friendly Ghost, sure. Alright, Slayer's gonna be nasty. Alright, we might not be hitting our 2nd green source, but we can double spell next turn anyway. And if they don't have removal for fear of being hunted, this combo does just kind of clear. Can win the whole game. Surgical Suite. They get the Centipede back. Grab another land. And the Reluctant Role Model. But no removal for the fear, so we get to kill the centipede again. No second green source for us is pretty bad. It'll be a significantly weaker turn for us then. Oh wow, they really want to kill this thing that bad? Oh, this would be such a blowout if we had one of our three +3/+0 tricks. Under the skin, they can just pick the role model right back up. Mountain 5, you say? That's what it is. Gigantic first striking Thresher sending in. Great, there's the 2-mana removal. I'm gonna turn inside out here just to hit Delirium. I don't mind it. I would find the green source right then. Second I self-mill. Still got a good manifest though. And we've hit Delirium for our worm. Yeah, that's kind of nasty. Hospital room with the friendly ghost. Attack into the 3/5. Can't block it with my only reach blocker. This is interesting. Let's see what you got under there. Oh, my 2/2 trades up into the 3/3. Oh, right. Role model moves stuff around. Even if it's not his counters. Gross. Alright. Still think that was our best walk, likely. These draws, though. Trade Playmate into 1 Centipede now. Even with first strike. That's better than it's going to do on blocks. Alright, 5 damage in. God, the hospital room role model combo is taking names right now. And the lack of the second green is the bigger issue, but this combo is making sure that they can close out the game while we're stuck on mana. Probably too late. Well, we'll see. This is a lot with Enduring Courage on board. They have to like triple block this to kill it. Yeah, that doesn't kill it. Oh, wait, no, it does, because first strike. Wow, this freaking role model, man. Because I first strike and then the counter moves and then they kill it. Oh, they're just going to come combat trick anyway. Well, at least we made them blow the combat trick because they did not realize they actually would have got there because of first strike anyway. Alright, that makes me feel less bad. The combat trick would have got us regardless. Swarm's going to be an 8 power attack. Okay, I'm certainly killing that before they can move a flying counter around. Eight power attack. Take 8, they say. Cool. Starts dealing 3 damage in a turn. Super large attack. And the 5/4 trampler on blocks. Hello there. That's actually just GG. Yeah, they already scooped. Regardless, we might have had lethal on board already, come to think of it. So they block there. Trampled for 1. Yeah, and then that hits for 3, so 3 plus the 1. Lethal on board unless they double blocked this. But hitting the Slayer means that I first strike that, so then it is definitely lethal. First strike that, plus this is getting a haste attack. Huge draw. That was a really dragged out little top deck war kind of game, but finding that second green source was massive. Kind of got there just in time. We are now 5-1. Very positive record, in the money, no matter what, as we head into game number 7. Alright, the cards in this hand are strong enough that I am praying for our found footage to find green sources. We're looking for the Blair Witch Project. We want to get lost in the woods. Please. I need trees. Now. Technically, we should have done this during their end step, but... Ooh. 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 Could definitely see the argument for milling that towards the next green source for the worm, but the fear of being hunted valuable Slayer combo is pretty nasty. Enduring Incense is broken, right? Enduring Innocence. Sure is. They draw a card every time they play a creature with power 2 or less, and even if I kill it, they still do that. Well, that's very, very bad for me. And Glassworks doesn't do anything about it. And Fear of Being Hunted doesn't do anything about it. Probably just setting up the Fear of Being Hunted most valuable Slayer thing, but they are about to get way ahead in cards. And blue-white as well. There's tons of 1/1 glimmer tokens in the color pair to easily draw a card every turn as such. And then they can just keep chumping with the glimmer tokens, and it hardly even matters to them because they're drawing 2 cards a turn now. They've got something for 2 mana here. Great. Flood Pit's Drowner. Draw a card during our turn too, because they have the flash creature. Man, Bambi is just running away with the game right now. That's a sheep? That's not a deer? That looks like a deer. Straight up looks like a glowing Bambi. Alright, well. During an Instance is a fantastic rare, especially on the play like this with the curve out. Feels pretty over. But we'll play it out here. I'm not technically dead on board, so there's a chance that they don't have the follow-through spell to kill me. But I would say most likely we're about to die when we pass back to them. Grand Entryway, draw another card, get 2 +1/+1 counters. That is still technically not quite lethal. Okay, that would have been lethal if they put it on the Wicker Folk. I guess they're 1 mana off from doing that and activating the Rotunda. But if they could have stopped Wicker Folk and played Rotunda, then we would be dead here. But they might have drawn that removal spell off of the 1/1 that the Entryway made. Can't block the flyer. We're on a 2-turn clock no matter what. As they put the Glimmerlight in the flyer, I take 3 in the sky regardless. I block these 2 and take 2 more on the ground. I take 5 and die. There is no way out of just taking 5 and dying next turn. Alright, not too much of a game. 5 and 2 heading into game 8. Alright, here we are on the draw again for game number 8. It might be our last game, because turn 1 Optimistic Scavenger is fantastic. Even if you're on the draw, on the play, it's going to be insanity. Yep, here's the curve out. Scavenger into the doll. Draw another card. Kind of have to play to the board here. Slow down this game a little bit. Trade into the doll. Take less damage. Another blue-white deck. Probably the strongest archetype in the format. I do find myself there more than any other because they have so many great synergy commons and uncommons. Alright, 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop on the play. Do they have the full wombo? 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop. Better luck next time. Maybe not. They could have like the 4 mana bounce something back to the top of the deck or something like that. Wow, we're actually just milling both of these. And drawing the 3rd land. Don't make a sound. I don't actually think that card's great, but it plays fine here. Friendly Ghost is the follow-up. Down to 6. And oops, wasn't on the play, didn't curve out. 5 and 3. I can play 1 blocker and take 4. I just need to play a meat locker and the game's over. Yeah, the losses in this format feel so brutal. There's just like no interaction. Yep, that's dead to Scavenger. It's 2 +1/+1s on Ghost. I'm already dead. I'm already dead, opponent. Didn't have to do all that. Yep, they curved out and spent every single point of mana every single turn, except for when they held the counterspell up. Then they only spent 2 out of the 4 mana they held up, but just a blowout curve on the play, and absolutely nothing we could do. 5 and 3 it is. Still a very solid record. We're leaving with more gems than it cost to enter the draft, so you cannot be unhappy with that. Would have liked to see the deck do a little bit better. I think it was certainly capable of it, but those losses were just unwinnable games of Magic. That is how it goes sometimes. Worst parts of the deck, some filler creatures like the long neck here, I think is the absolute worst. I do think having Fear of Burning Alive over Courage would have also made this deck better. So that was the one biggest mistake during the drafting process, I think I would say. But outside of that, I'm a pretty big fan of everything in here. Maybe triple turn inside out's a little high. We did find these clumping up together in some awkward positions. But having 2 of them in one of those games did randomly find us lethal, so sometimes them clumping up helped a lot. Didn't get to Rollercrusher ride nearly as much as I would have wanted to. We cast it 1 time, and the 1 time we cast it, they had the perfect hexproof trick to blow us out anyway. So Rollercrusher ride was probably the biggest underperformer, but that doesn't mean it's a bad card. It's still ridiculously good. It just didn't show up off in our lineup well for us. It's not a good day for it, but outside of that, yeah, pretty disappointed to never draw the Beastie Beatdown either. I think that card's also excellent. We never got to play with it. Yeah. Slight bummer here, but there's some minor flaws to the deck, pulling it back from a 7 winner as well. That said, I don't think even with a really, really good build here, we could have done much for the losses today. So 5 and 3 it is, leaving with 1,600 gems and 4 packs of Duskmourn House of Horror. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.